Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here, and right now when I'm recording this, I'm live on Twitch over at twitch.tv/I_am_Germ. It's going to be the first link in the description below. I would love it if you guys came and hang out with me and chat sometime. Last video I had some comment that was like, you're not live right now, and it's like, yeah, I'm not always going to be live when you're watching the YouTube video. That's why you're going to go down, you're going to follow, drop a prime, whatever. I'm just telling you that, like, hey, we are streaming this right now. We make YouTube videos live on the stream. We talk about the news live as it comes out and stuff like that. It's a whole lot of fun. Today we're talking about a big potential story, a big rumor, a big rumbling around the LCS scene right now. This was actually something that I had tweeted out, so I'm doing, some germception here. I'm doing some self-promo, some self-love on the Twitter and stuff too. But this is something that a lot of people have been talking about. I think a lot of people are maybe getting upset and mad that I'm putting out this info because they're like, oh, no shit. Like, we already knew Mr. Beast was a rumor or an option or whatever. But what I put out is this. It's not the most concrete thing in the world. It's overall pretty vague because nothing's done yet. Nothing's official. But there's, like I said, some rumblings. There's some talks. And this is what people in the esports scene and people that I talk to and know. And obviously, I do this stuff all the time. I talk to people all day. I don't have the craziest mega sources in the world. I'm not Wooloo or anything like that, but I talk to people. I hear what people think is going on, what they say is going on. And my goal this offseason is just to communicate that with you guys, to let you know what I hear. Some of it's going to end up happening. Some of it's going to be true. Some of it might be wrong. Some of it might be bullshit, or some of it might just not end up happening. And that's, to me, that's fine. If that's not fine with you, that's totally okay. But I'm just, setting the expectations, letting you guys know what my goal is. So one of the things I'm hearing from multiple different people right now, this is a big talk in League of Legends esports land. There's rumors running around of Mr. Beast potentially being in talks of acquiring an LCS slot. Seems like him buying a part of an existing LCS team or slot is on the table. I said, obviously nothing is done or official yet, but very big potential soon TM, whatever. I said, as always, take rumors with a grain of salt. Don't be a weirdo, etc., etc. People are always going to be the weirdos. People are always going to flame you. Oh, sources, trust me, bro. Or, just talk shit about me or whatever. And that's fine, whatever. If you got to do that, hey, there's the comments. Do it, whatever. I said, things happen. Deals fall through, and it's all rumors, just letting you know what things are being discussed. And this is what I am hearing right now. From what I have heard, or from what I understand from multiple different people, is that Mr. Beast has, Mr. Beast has obviously already said he wants to own an LCS slot or own an LCS team at some point in his life. He said that is a goal of his. After the recent League of Legends esports tournament he held, he said, hey, expect my LCS team like very soon or something like that. So there was already the potential chance of Mr. Beast coming into the LCS. That has been on people's radar. But now people are saying that he has actually inquired about slots, that he has been in talks with some teams, that he is potentially putting out some feelers, that he is serious about this. That doesn't mean he's going to get a deal done, because just because he wants to buy a team, maybe he hears the price, or here's what their ideas are, or here's what he has to do, or what, the whole thing's going to cost, not just the LCS slot, but the whole thing. Or I don't know, maybe as they get more into it, they just decide not to do it, or they decide we want to do the LEC instead, or they decide, hey, maybe we should wait a couple more years, who knows? But it sounds like he is talking to some people. And then the question has always been like, yeah, okay, who's going to leave? Who's going to come in? What slot is he going to buy? But I've also heard, like I said here, and this doesn't have to be like this. I have heard that it is potential that he could just go a little bit into some LCS team as well. Like, right now we are seeing Koi go in with Rogue, and they're going to take Rogue, their team, their roster, all that stuff, and it's going to be Koi next year. It's going to be called Koi. They're going to bring in the Koi fan base, the branding, all that stuff, and just have a Rogue roster and be starting off on a good foot. And Rogue's going to own some, and Koi's going to own some. That is very, very possible with Mr. Beast. He's not only looking, from what I've heard, to just buy a whole slot 100%. It seems like he would be willing to, I don't know the percentages. I haven't heard numbers or anything like that, but let's just say hypothetically, buy 30, 40, 50, 60% of a team or whatever. I assume he'd want to probably have majority ownership, so probably 50 to 60%, and then have it called Beast Gaming and bring in his fan base, bring in his branding, bring in his content creation strategy, and go full out. And honestly, to me, that makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense for these LCS teams to still hang on to a chunk of their LCS slot and to reap the rewards, hopefully, of Mr. Beast and his brand and his team and all that stuff. But it potentially makes sense from the side of Mr. Beast as well to come in with some people that have experience with an LCS team, with an LCS slot, hopefully some good ideas and stuff, come in with an existing roster that potentially doesn't suck. You know, we have heard rumors in the past of Doublelift said, hey, 4 teams are maybe looking to leave the LCS. You know, the names who are kind of being thrown around is like FlyQuest, Immortals, Dignitas, maybe TSM, who knows? But like, say it's FlyQuest. If Mr. Beast came in with FlyQuest and had that FlyQuest roster, you know, you have Takoi, you have Jose Diodo, you have Aphromoo and Johnson, a team that's like middle of the pack in the LCS. They're not terrible. They're not totally dog shit. They're not insane. They're not probably going to Worlds this year, or they're not going to compete for a title or anything like that, but they're a fine starting point. And then you go and maybe sign a big free agent or two, and then you can have a good team. That's way easier. That makes way more sense than trying to do what Team BDS did this past year and starting from absolutely nothing, starting from the very bottom, and then being a 10th place team and trying to build a fan base like that. If you can have a middle of the pack team or a good team, just like Koi is doing and just like Mr. Beast could potentially do, I think that'd make a lot of sense. And then it also obviously cuts back on the sheer amount of money you have to drop. Rather than dropping 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 million on a slot, maybe you can drop 15, 20, 25 mil. Yeah, it's still a heck of a lot of money, but it makes it a little bit more digestible, makes it a little easier. And then you still own an LCS slot. You still have a chance to build a fan base and do all this stuff. And you still have a chance to reap the rewards of the LCS slot and its value growing in the future. Maybe you don't have the whole, you know, home run 100% potential. But to me, once these numbers start getting this crazy, because esports is still very, very speculative. We have no idea if this thing is going to be sustainable, profitable, if it's going to be as big as we hope or want. So by scaling the numbers down a little bit, it could make a lot of sense. So again, from what I've heard, it is possible that Mr. Beast, from what I've heard, he has talked to some teams. He has inquired about some teams. I don't know necessarily how good those talks are going, if he's close to buying an LCS team, if he's way far. You know, some people, I've heard both. I've heard some people say like, oh, he's talked to some people and it's not going well. They're not like progressing very far. I've heard some people say, hey, it seems like things are going well and I expect Mr. Beast to be in the LCS in 2023. So that's why I didn't want to put out anything concrete, because I don't think there's anything concrete to put out yet. But I still think the story that he is or has been in some talks, some feelers, that's a big step. Going from, oh, Mr. Beast wants to own an LCS team, or hey, we could see Mr. Beast owning an LCS team, or it's realistic, to Mr. Beast has maybe, or Mr. Beast's team, or, you know, whoever has actually talked to some teams, or actually talked to some people, or actually thought about this as a legitimate idea. That's a big step. And I actually think that's very, very interesting and important. That's why I wanted to put this out. The tweet's doing pretty well. It's got 59 likes right now. I hope people, you know, appreciate what I'm doing and appreciate putting out info. Like I said, there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people with some shit to say, and that's totally fine. But this is really my goal for the offseason, and I do have some other stuff I want to put out in the future too. Again, I don't know exactly what teams Mr. Beast is going to talk to or who's most likely to sell to him. We know the options are like Dignitas, Immortals, FlyQuest, maybe TSM if they end up with an LEC slot or something like that. I think TSM is by far the least likely. FlyQuest, Dignitas, maybe the two most likely. I think if it was Dignitas, that he would probably want to own the whole slot, and if it's FlyQuest, he would maybe consider going, you know, half and half or something like that. That's all very, very speculative. That's all just me kind of, you know, throwing in my own thoughts. But from what I've heard from not just one person or something, multiple people, multiple sources in this thing, is that Mr. Beast is in some talks. He's in some negotiations. Maybe it's very, very early days. Maybe it's very, very early stages. But again, it's late August right now. This stuff has to start happening in like August, September. We can't really wait till October. So this stuff, you know, we're on a shortened timeline. If something's happening, it's going to happen soon. So that's why I want to start putting out the things I know now. Again, I'm hearing some other stuff too. As I continue to hear more stuff throughout the offseason, I will definitely put stuff out. I'll definitely let you guys know. And yeah, this is going to be the place, you know, my Twitter, my YouTube, my Twitch, everything. This is where you're going to get to hear, hopefully some stuff you haven't heard before, hopefully some stuff that's interesting. Maybe it'll seem obvious, or maybe it'll seem, you know, like everyone already knew that or whatever, but that's okay too. I'll have some big stories. I'll have some less, maybe totally eye-popping stories. But this is going to be a thing we do this offseason. I'm going to do my best to put out some good content, put out some good info. And I just think that it is very, very possible that we see Mr. Beast in the LCS in 2023. I definitely hope we see Mr. Beast in the LCS in 2023, but we'll have to wait and see. But it sounds like I mean, to get to that point, you got to start somewhere, and it sounds like maybe we have at least started. I think that's big. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Somebody drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Come check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/I_am_germ. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about anything we talked about in this video today. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.